Today's video comes from Vara Dark. Her channel will be linked in the description so you can check her out and support her. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Gamers have been highly criticizing Dragon Age the Veilguard based on teasers, trailers, and media first impressions. And while we are relatively close to the release date, there have been a lot of creators now coming forward saying when they initially were given a chance to play the game, they were critical, and suddenly they are not getting review codes for the game, which is definitely a major red flag. Now, I have to say this all the time. Companies need to take criticism seriously. I know it is hard to hear people criticize something you've dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into. If you're a developer, it's hard to hear somebody criticize your work that you really loved, that you thought was really great, but ultimately, you are not making games for yourselves. You are making games for gamers, for customers. And if you are not creating great content that we want and that we kind of resonate with, you're not going to get any sales, and therefore you're not going to have a job going forward. And these companies love to play games with codes for content creators. Like myself, I almost never get codes. Very rarely do I get codes, and typically it's from AA companies. It's not even from, the BioWares, the EAs, the Ubisofts. Absolutely not, because I am too critical of them. But it should go without saying that companies should allow a wide variety of voices and people with different opinions to talk about their games. And right now in the industry is a major phenomenon of toxic positivity. They do not want to hear anything negative about their products. They do not want to hear it from developers, from customers. They think that they know best, and well, they clearly don't. And now we're hearing that a couple of weeks ago, there were plenty of content creators who got a chance to play the game for several hours, a hands-on first impression, but these people that were not saying, oh my god, it's amazing, it's a 10 out of 10, it's game of the year, were actually not given full review codes. So Wolfheart FPS was the one to kind of kick off this discussion, saying 3 creators, myself included, were a bit more critical than others with our hands-on time with Dragon Age the Veilguard. Not a single one of us will be getting a reviewed code with time to actually give opinions before release. Just thought that I would throw that out there. And please keep in mind, folks, that this does not mean that my more critical opinion is better or more truthful than those who have been more positive. I'm just simply pointing out how marketing works. This also doesn't mean the game will be bad, but it's something to consider. When I hear a company is not allowing critical voices to get a chance to play even more of the game, that is definitely a red flag. Because don't you think that if somebody's only playing a tiny portion of the game and they don't like it, that you would want to get the game in their hands so they can get to the meat and potatoes of it, so they can actually get to the parts that you feel even more confident about? Not every single product is going to start out perfectly. Like, there are plenty of books where the first couple of chapters are only okay because they're setting up for, the twists and the turns, but then you're halfway through, you're going into Act 2, and it's absolutely amazing. You'd think that that would be the mentality here, but it never is. I say this all the time. Companies are terrible. Okay, these companies and who they are giving codes to is always so inconsistent. And instead of just simply, being very selective from the get-go, no, they have a big pool initially, and then they whittle it down so there's less and less people, and only the people who are going to say it's a 10 out of 10 will continue to get codes. And that is why we call out journalists within the industry and we point out ethics in journalism issues, because you know for a fact that the Kotakus, the Polygons, the Gamers, they are going to be able to release their reviews. They are going to get codes because we know that they're going to give it amazing scores because they align with BioWare and this team politically. They understand the activists, and we know that this title does have identity politics.
So, of course, guys, you cannot spell ignorant without IGN. And that's basically one of the primary companies that, of course, will be getting their review codes so that they can tell you just how wonderful this woke piece of trash is. Oh my gosh, it's revolutionary. This change makes the game so much better. We're going to give this a 9 out of 10. Like, this is where we are headed right now with this total pile of steaming crap. Okay? These companies are now trying to silence us by delaying our ability to play the games. They do not want anyone to make a judgment that is not based around woke culture. So they know what's happening right now. Expect this practice to continue on indefinitely as more companies stop giving out review codes to YouTubers and basically any brand that does not align with theirs, any company that's not going to praise them, any YouTuber, any company that is not going to play along and point out that this is a woke piece of trash. The characters in the game look ugly. The game is poorly designed. And that's how many of these AAA games are now. Concord, $400 million to make, will cost Sony around $700 million total, and it was a piece of trash. Unknown Nine. This game cost evidently somewhere between $100 and $150 million to make. So my best estimates were wrong. I estimated $100 million. No, it's about between $100 and $150 million to make. The story for the game was written by the founder of Sweet Baby Inc., and no one has bought the game. The game is dead on arrival. There are many of you are like, well, it doesn't matter because it's like they have unlimited amounts of money. That's total BS. That is absolutely total BS. Yes, companies like BlackRock, specifically BlackRock Investments, have been pushing these gaming studios to create these woke games in exchange for easier financing, but you have to understand that this money was borrowed from banks. It is not free money. They have to pay it back. And when they do not pay it back, they will file for bankruptcy. Guys, we're heading for a massive crash of the gaming industry, similar to the way it was in the 1980s. I honestly think that it's going to be even worse because right now, back in the 1980s, there was just a pile of trash. There was a lot of trash out there, but it wasn't woke trash. Right now, so it was like the quality of the games and so forth. Now it's just the fact that the games are just garbage. The gaming industry is larger than ever. Games are a larger medium than movie industry. And of course they want to stop that. But the movie industry in of itself is also trash. All media today has become trash, except for media coming from East Asia. East Asia, China. Don't be shocked when China starts dropping banger animes because Black Myth Wukong is absolutely a banger. Wu Chang is coming, and it looks incredible. There's likely many, many other games now coming from these studios overseas, and these are the games that people want to play. People want to play games that are fun, that are not politically motivated and politically driven, and that's the direction that we are heading in. It's so sad because the characters, even you know, uh, in this game, Ghost of Tsushima, they deliberately ensure that the characters are ugly. Like, for example, many of the character models are just beyond ugly. They're not attractive. They're disgusting to look at. But it's gotten much worse even since this game came out. I mean, it's just absolutely sickening. Like, does not reflect humanity or people in general. There are no attractive traits about any of these people, any of these characters. They choose the absolute worst people, absolute worst designs, and they uglify them as much as possible because they want us to be repulsed by this and don't want to offend anyone because it's designed for a modern audience. This is all about control. And of course, Gen Z is cool with this because they're a bunch of little puppets. They're a bunch of bad little muffins. Just like the boomers, the Zoomers are absolutely horrific.
We don't know the extent of it, but we know the character creator that the media was highlighting does feature things like a top surgery scar toggle, which is just absurd. That doesn't sit well with people, and we do not know exactly who the other creators are, but Luke Stevens had also put out a tweet saying, I will not be reviewing Dragon Age the Veilguard at launch. Not sure why they just decided to get frugal with digital review codes, but no one-day review from me. This is also another funny thing that's happening, is that companies are using the excuse that they have no more codes to offer. We're not talking about sending content creators a physical item here. We are talking about giving content creators a digital code. You have an infinite amount of digital codes, but it doesn't seem that they're feeling particularly confident in this game's future, judging by the fact that they're bundling it with NVIDIA Ultimate. So you get the game for free if you pay for that service. So to me, that just screams that they're not feeling super good about this. They are already trying to pump up the player numbers. And, if you look at someone like Luke Stevens, he could give them a lot of press. I mean, he has over 560,000 subscribers on YouTube. You would think that they would view that as a golden marketing opportunity. It's like when I stream games that are made by companies like Sweet Baby Inc., right? Even though I go into it expecting not to like it, I'm still streaming it, I'm still giving it a chance. There could be a time where I'm playing it and I expected it to be bad, and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really good. And people could line up to buy the game. People could say, wow, you know what? She likes it. Her opinion changed. So did mine. It's free press. And these companies always go off of the mentality that all press is good press, even if it's negative. But maybe they're changing their tune a little bit because they've gotten so obliterated by gamers over the past couple of years. But either way, it just still is not a good look. If I was a company that was releasing a major game like Dragon Age the Veilguard, I would want as many people to be playing it as possible. And like Wolfheart has 220,000 subscribers. So these are significant numbers, and it just all comes across as being very shady. And I bet that when embargoes finally lift, we're going to only see positive reviews. We're only going to be seeing 8s, 9s, or 10s. I highly doubt we're going to be seeing any scores under that. And this is why you cannot trust video game journalists. And I will be streaming this on release day, so you can stop by and you can get my first impressions, my genuine impressions. But this is why you can't trust video game journos, because they constantly praise games that, in my opinion, and your opinions also, do not deserve praise because they're clearly afraid to lose the media access. And when you become even slightly critical, this is what happens. You are not allowed to get codes anymore, even though they gave you hands-on impressions weeks ago, all because you didn't say that you completely loved it.
It's really amazing because these garbage companies want you to give them your money, and then in return, they're going to give you a steaming pile of crap, and then also turn around and tell you that, by the way, chief, you don't own anything. You need to get over ownership. You need to get over the idea of ownership, chief. All right, you don't own this product. Okay, we're giving you a rental. This is a long-term rental, and it's better for the community. It's better. It's more equitable. How is it more equitable when I have to spend $70 for your woke piece of garbage, and I don't even own it, and you can take it away at any time? It's better for everyone. It allows us to create better experiences and more immersive experiences and pay our developers. What, you don't think that we have to make money? People have families to feed, people have children. What are you doing? What kind of person are you? What kind of terrible person are you? All right? Listen, we need to move towards a society where we have community ownership. And who's going to oversee this community ownership? The corporations in the state. Right. So they decide how everything is allocated. Wealth is allocated. They decide how property is allocated, who gets access to what, and we still have to pay for it. That's correct. Yeah, miss me with that. Guys, men are just walking away from this crap as well. Most men, so many guys right now, except for the Sims, who are responsible for all of this garbage. And like I said, that's why we have to go after the Sims. That's why we have to put the Sims on blast. So many men right now just want to leave this place behind, leave this plane of existence behind, and just go, find a piece of land. Like, many of us were like, okay, we're going to go overseas, become passport kings. And then a lot of us are now also like, yeah, that's also a lot of work. I could just work out, get a nice piece of land or a decent place to live, build a home gym, work out at home, focus on myself, focus on my future and my finances, stock up on old games that I enjoy. There's a lot of you who have made it very clear to me that you're happy with an Atari and a handful of games, or a Nintendo 64 and Mario 64, and you're good. You're really, really good. Because the average man can live happily in a shoebox at the side of the road. And some of these shoeboxes are really, really nice. You don't need a lot. While women are constantly looking for the very best and greatest, men will make do with a lot less. We will basically whatever hole we're in, whatever box we're in, we'll make it nice, we'll make it comfortable, we'll keep it simple, and that's it. We have a place to sleep, food to eat, a bit of entertainment, somewhere to go poop and potty, place to wash up, and we're happy. We're happy as pigs in mud. And our environment is nice and clean. We have clean clothes, we have food available, and that's it. And we don't need much. And we can live like that until the end of our days. And we already know no one's going to save us, no one's going to provide for us, no one's going to take care of us. This issue really is affecting women more than men because the average man does not need relatively almost anyone to survive or anything. We learn how to survive on our own. And what we cannot do for ourselves, we then just basically pay someone to do it. If they take everything away from us, for example, if the value of our money is worth nothing and we don't even own it at that, we'll start trading in Pokemon cards. We'll create entirely new economies and start doing business that way. That's why crypto is so important. That's why it's so important because the value of money is only valuable if we believe in it with fiat currency. Fiat currency has no intrinsic value, okay? It's only worth as much as we believe in it and we are willing to use it. If we don't believe that it's valuable anymore and the banks don't believe it's valuable, for example, if they're like, oh, people are moving away from this money and the money has become extremely diluted, right then and there, it starts to have a ripple effect. When companies start saying, yeah, we're going to start charging even more because we don't trust the money. The dollar is not strong. People don't trust it. What ends up, guys, doesn't matter who wins in November. They cannot save this dumpster fire. They cannot save this dumpster fire. They cannot put it out. It's been something that's been culminating for a very long time. And now we're heading towards, we're heading towards the point where it's like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Everything is going to crash and burn. Everything is going to crash and burn. And they absolutely deserve it because they've created this hot mess that we're living in. They created this and they're going to go down. All of these woke companies, they're on their way out right now. Don't let anyone lie to you. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. These woke companies, these woke activists, they are on the absolute decline and they are grappling at straws. They are reaching for straws right now, looking for any way to survive. But men are done. Men are done with this crap. Men are done with this reality. They don't want this trash. Okay? Like I said, like Dragon Age the Unveil, that's it's done. There's actually a video from Q Warzar, and he basically talks further about this where he says Dragon Age the Veilguard is basically dead on arrival, and they're turning around. The developers of the game are now turning around and blaming us. That's the reason why they're going after people like Vara. That's why they're going after people like me. That's why they're going after independent people because they're pissed off because we're basically shutting it down. We're telling you, yeah, don't buy this woke garbage. I don't like it. Vara basically went and played Unknown 9 so we didn't have to. And she streamed the entire damn game or most of it. And everyone could see just how horrible the game was. And now they weren't buying it before. And now they're definitely not going to buy it. These companies are losing billions of dollars rapidly. And, if they start just taking the money away from us, like take it from us, then we'll just stop using it. And we'll create new ways of trade. For example, there are entire markets where people, and I didn't know about this, there are entire markets where people operate without money, where they trade skills and services for products that they need. So, for example, if you're an electrician, you'll say, well, I'll do the electrical wiring for you, and what am I going to get in return? Oh, I'll give you like a couple, I'm a farmer, or, and I have a bunch of goats, and I'll give you a bunch of goat meat, right? And if you do the math, like how much is goat meat equivalent to? Well, goat meat would cost this and this and this. So they do the math and you do the electrical wiring for these people and they pay you in goat meat. You inspect it first, like, okay, this is what you're gonna get. All right, I'll take it. And now you take that goat meat, you toss it in your freezer, and you're getting the value that you would have that you would have had to have converted. So before, you would have to go through the process of getting the cash, paying taxes on the cash. For example, you're paying the taxes on the cash that you would make, and then you'd have to go and purchase the goat yourself and pay taxes on that. Now you're cutting out the middleman. This is how things are beginning to operate, and it's very, very smart. I was talking to my Yumi. I don't know if this was a few weeks ago or maybe more than a month ago, and she was telling me how they basically went to the farmers market because they have animals on their land. I forget if it's goats that they have, and they had like goat milk, and they basically went to the farmers market and they traded what they had, and they basically got some stuff for it. They like traded goat milk for like I don't know, like maybe like chickens or whatever. I'm just giving you an example, but this is just how it works. That's how a lot of these farmer markets now work. You take what you have, you bring it there, and you basically trade for the things that you need. And there are a lot of you who are lackadaisical. You will be suffering. Like me right now, I'm kind of like in tears because I have my savings, but I cannot tap into it. Like that's there for a reason. It's there for a rainy day. And I basically said, I can't do this anymore. I can't live this way anymore. I worked so hard to clear off any remaining debt that I had in terms of credit card debt. And I fought hard, and I was like, it's like there were just bills coming in. And I was like, I'm clearing it. So I cleared off the initial amount, and then there was like hundreds of dollars that still came through, and it's like almost half a grand. I was like, no, no, I'm clearing that too. And I basically spent my entire paycheck like on it. I was like, no, I'm knocking this debt out. Like I paid off 20K in debt in 2024. 20K, cleared off 20K in debt. And I've got my savings, and that's sitting there, and that's pretty. I wanted to go and I'm going to be picking up a new laptop later well, not this month, but about a month from now, hoping to get a better deal on it come Black Friday. And I'm basically battening down the hatches, and it's a little bit of delayed gratification, but hopefully I'll get a better deal on it around Black Friday. Some of you guys, it's a G16. I have my heart set on the Asus G16 right now, and I forget how to pronounce the exact name of it. It's like Asus Zenapath or something like that. Let me see. Let's look it up. Asus uh Zephyrus. It's the Asus Zephyrus G16, the 2024 model, because there was a 2023. My heart is on that. Some of you are like, get a Strix. And the thing is, like, the reason why I want the Asus, the other one, why I want the one that starts with Z, is because it's a slim, light gaming laptop. Is it perfect? No. The Strix is evidently way more powerful, but it's like, it's good for me. It's good enough. It's a good balance. A 4060, or the one I'm looking at, I think it has a 4070 RTX processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabyte hard drive, OLED display, so 3K OLED display. It's total. That's more than enough for me. 16. It's 16 inches, so the screen is actually 15.6 inches. But again, that's more than enough for me. I'm absolutely in love with this. Obviously, it's not going to have the same. The 4070 mobile version for laptops is not going to have the same horsepower as a desktop version, but it's still plenty. And it's not. It's the 4080. When you think about the 4080s and 4090s, so those are the processors that are just above. The best processor you can get right now is a 4090 RTX 4090. From NVIDIA makes these, or rather the companies that they partner with. But the best you can do right now is a 4090, and then you have the 4080, which is better than the 4070. But 40s, once you start dealing with 4060s and 4070s, you pretty much have very good processors. And 4070, some of these lower end laptops, for example, not lower end, but some of these laptops, for example, if the wattage is not high enough, if it cannot suck enough power, and that's something that the laptop manufacturers do, because sometimes they're not able to dissipate the heat that's going into the laptop as a result, and coming out of the laptop as a result of the processor and the components in there, and they're not able to cool things down adequately. But if the wattage is right, then you can get more out of these laptops. But when it comes to like the 4090, it's like you can't even, like, in a laptop, you're not going to get everything you're supposed to get out of that laptop unless it's like, let's say, a really large laptop. It's much larger. It has a better cooling system in there, and and then it's usually going to be super noisy. So there will always be trade-offs. But then with DLSS, which is deep learning super sampling from NVIDIA, it's going to make your games look really good anyway. So it's like you're just basically grasping at straws at that point. So I'm planning to pick that up later in the month. And well, in November, right around Black Friday, and I'm pretty excited about that because I've got so many games on GOG right now that I want to jump right into. I have over 114 games on GOG. Yeah, over 114, and it's like I just don't care anymore. Like I don't care about society. I don't care about this reality. I'm just basically focusing on getting mine, and I think that's what all of us are doing right now. And focus on having the best possible health that I can, being in the best possible physical shape that I can, having a good relationship with God. I don't care about human beings, not so much. I'm just being very honest with you. And there are the Christians, there are the boomers who will immediately, and they're like, and those like them, will immediately say that God wants you to love your fellow man. And I'll say, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to have any, I can love you from a distance. God bless you. No, you need to be out there and engaging. And then they start talking about sacrifice yourself. You need to sacrifice yourself and have a legacy. Go and have some kids. No, thank you. I have no plans on having children. I do not want to raise kids now. There was many times in my life where I wanted that. I don't want that anymore. I don't want the stress. I've had such a hard life. I don't want to share my video games with my kids. I want my own system. I want all of this. I want everything for me. I want to be extremely selfish. In terms of a relationship, I do not want to have to give a woman money. I don't want to hand money over to them. I don't want to give them any of that. I want to keep it all for myself. Spend time gardening, spend time living. I'm not big on reading the Bible, but there's some nice books that you can read about God and growing closer to God. And that's kind of what I want to focus on. And that's how a lot of guys are right now, developing a relationship with God, developing a relationship with yourself. As you get older, also, thankfully, there's some guys who are sick and they'll basically go around acting like their members are bigger than other guys. They have to swing them around. Oh, look, my balls are bigger. But for the average guy that has humility and that has evolved and grown up, you realize that's a bunch of nonsense. A lot of these men are immoral anyway, and they'll spend their entire lives chasing kitty, and they destroy the world around them. They're still simps. But then you have guys like me and so many others who have graduated from it, and they're like, yeah, you know what? And we all of us can fall back into simping, but it's about learning and moving on and picking your butt back up and saying that I'm going to learn from what's happened and I'm going to do better. And I think that's the most important thing for so many of us. That's the biggest focus because there's Sims who just never change. So for many of us, it's like basically we just want to have a nice, relaxed, comfortable life, get a piece of land, put a ranch on it or whatever, actually own something. A lot of people are moving into shipping container houses. Some of y'all don't knock it until you've tried it. I even criticized tiny houses at one point. I was like, they're tiny, I was like, they're large coffins. Be it as it may, basically for us, especially for people who are Gen X and older millennials, we don't need a lot to survive. And we can basically just go and chill, live in these things, and be happy if that's what we need. You can stack them, and that there are people, and then the boomers are like, oh, the wind is going to come and blow it away. Guys, I could literally see these boomers and the banks try to vandalize your property because you're choosing not to buy their garbage. Like, I can tell you, I can see what the future looks like right now. There's this whole transfer of wealth that they're talking about. Oh, the biggest transfer of wealth is going to occur in the history of the world, and it's going to be from the boomers to Gen X and millennials. Most boomers don't have anything to leave to you. They're mortgaging these homes indefinitely and living off it. Those properties are not going to transfer to millennials or Gen Xers. Those properties are going to transfer to the banks. And if the banks can, get their children to go and take on that debt, they will. But otherwise, they're going to transfer to the banks. The banks are going to transfer them to property management companies or asset management companies. The asset management companies are going to transfer them to property management companies. And then the property management companies are going to try to lease them out and rent them to people who are to Zoomers, millennials, and Gen Xers for ridiculous amounts of money and under the whole guise of, well, basically you will own nothing, but you will pay us roughly what you would be paying to own the property, but now you're going to be paying us Instead of owning it, you're going to be paying us just to live in it. So we're becoming a nation of renters. That's in America. It's the truth. America is now a nation of renters. It's been like that for a very long time. Many of you will disagree with me, but if you look at it this way, the boomers own all the property. All right, the boomers own 80% of property in the United States. They also own 80% of the stock market. So 80% of all stocks are owned by the boomers, and 80% of the real estate market is owned by the boomers as well. So we relatively own nothing. Okay? We own nothing at all. These properties are not going to go to us. They're not going to benefit us. They are there for the boomers, and they're just going to keep on refinancing and sucking as much value out of them as possible. And then when nothing is left over, and they pass on, that the banks will just turn around and try to get us to rent these pieces of garbage out. The key right now is to actually get yourself a piece of land somewhere. It doesn't have to be in the middle of nowhere. It should be somewhere where there are people, and you need to learn about solar electricity, learn how to become self-sufficient, learn how to do measurements, learn how to build a few things for yourself so that you can provide for yourself, have solar powered panels set up on your property so that if power goes out, you can do that. You have a generator that's catching some of that. Build a well, okay? If you're able to build a well so that you will always have water. Don't worry about these people. A lot of these millionaires out there that have tons of money right now, oh, they have millions, millions of dollars, sometimes tens of millions of dollars. Something goes wrong. These people are starving. These people are starving and dying of thirst. Of thirst. Because they have not planned for the future. And let me explain something to you. Money cannot buy you everything in life. Guys, when everything starts going to crap, and these people are like, I have money, I have money. I mean, yeah, you could take advantage of a desperate time and people who are desperate, but the reality is that, when everyone's suffering and, food is more valuable than money, water is more valuable than money, yeah, it's just not going to happen. And the people who are going to be hurting the very most are going to be Gen Zers because they have no value at all. No value. They have no value, no skills, none of that. So these people are basically indentured servants that are going to be running wild in the streets, stealing and squatting. And of course, there's going to be a lot of backlash, and they're going to either end up in jail or they're going to end up in the MORGUE, because that's if anyone even comes to pick them up and claim them. Because if you think you're going to go around stealing from people and pillaging throughout society, think again. And they're not too bright, they're not too smart. They're not going to have a good time. They think that many of them will go to prison, but a lot of them are just not going to make it. And when I say not going to make it, I really mean not going to make it. So guys, now they're trying to silence us. We're not getting review codes, we're not getting advanced copies of media anymore because they know that the industry knows, Hollywood knows, the gaming industry knows that their time is up, and this is only the beginning, guys. They're not even like this. It is Gamergate too, but they're not. But really, no one's really even calling it that. It's literally just the consumer being tired of these woketivists and not playing games with them. All right, they can. These companies, they sold out. They sold out to Blackstone, and now they can go. Now they're getting their reward. They're getting 100% their just deserves, and basically they can go away and they can go die off because no one is going to play, no one's going to pay for their trash anymore. No one's playing games with them. No one wants what they have to offer. They told the consumers, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And guess what's happening right now? The consumer goes, okay, we're if that's the case, we'll do just that. You said don't like it and don't buy it if we don't like it, so we're not buying it. And now they're lashing out on social media because people are doing that. People are not buying their woke garbage. People are not supporting them anymore. And these are the same companies that mocked us, shamed us, attacked us, basically tried to act like we weren't even human beings. And now they're heading to the unemployment line. Like, money doesn't go on forever. These companies, they basically took, they basically made a deal with the devil. They took dirty money. And some of these companies, like, this is another thing, is the whole aspect of money washing. Like, apps, they need to be investigated right now because I guarantee you many of them are washing dirty money. Okay? and no matter what you say, the U.S. government and global governments will come for them, and they will arrest all of them. And that's another nail in the coffin for the gaming industry. And like I said, and guys, many of the best games right now are coming from indie developers that end up getting bought out by Sony and other larger companies, and then the games are turned to crap. So we don't need these large gaming studios. Many of them no longer even have the staff that originally made these games what they are. They don't have people who know how to code and have a passion for the content that they're creating. They have the worst people there. So this absolutely works out great for us. And many of us, like me, are building up our our GOG libraries of games that we actually own. I'll be picking up some physical games very soon so that I can enjoy those, have a stock of them, and just start stocking them up. For me, it'll be Nintendo Switch, like not PlayStation. I don't want to give Sony any more money. I think that Nintendo's a terrible company. They're basically the Yakuza of the gaming industry. But for now, at least with Switch games, like you can own them, you can buy them and own the physical game, and that's really my thing. I already have a Nintendo Switch Lite. I have a Nintendo Switch OLED. I have a Nintendo Switch Lite. I would love to get a special edition Nintendo Switch Lite, but I haven't seen any yet. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely want to pick up a special edition Nintendo Switch Lite, see what's out there, and just to have that. But yeah, guys, I mean, like I'll be getting a ranch. I really want what Mayumi has, something like that. Have a ranch, have something nice, have the land, and basically have a freezer, store my meat, have everything that I need in storage, and just watch the world burn. I could care less about anything, about dating, about relationships, nothing. Just be in health, take care of yourself. Learn medicine, learn about medicine so that you can take care of yourself. You know, if anything that arises, your cuts and bruises or anything serious, have things like on hand, even some antibiotics, or learn about natural antibiotics, and just walk away. Like, this is MW. Walk away from this garbage. Don't be a part of it. Turn your back on this trash. Turn your back on this woke society. They're trying to silence us. Well, guys, this is just them grasping at straws, because basically we're not taking it anymore. But let me know what you guys think regarding everything we discussed here, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, man. Walk you away. And cheers.